Hi everybody. You're back with Gerone Wright again on his Geronification channel here on YouTube. What we have here, I'm going to be doing a interesting video here on Easter Island and the Moai Heads and megalithic statues that seem to have grown in popularity through that of ancient alien theorists and through other theorists that got so much wonder why these heads are there, how they got there, and what do they actually represent. There's an image there of the heads there. Here's another image there, just to bring you into speed about these heads here, and there. So what we're gonna have here, let me set this down. And there's another image here of those heads. There. And some tourists standing there admiring the heads there. Well, one of the heads there. And then they have some interesting statues. Wooden statues. This is actually on line as being a fat Maui being. A fat Maui. Okay. And this is supposed to be of a skeletal, wooden skeletal statue figurine of that of a Maui. Alright. It's my position that I've discovered that mankind evolved through our oceanic waters through a precise process that an intelligence that actually evolved from space. It's my position that this intelligence jumped planets from Mercury, Venus to Earth, and now, as you are witnessing, it's my position that Mars is next in that sequence. And this is the reason why you see our space explorations heading in that direction. And it's my position that there was never no life on Mars in so much in the way that we wanted to believe as far as aliens and all of that. It's my position that Mars is next in line in our solar system to actually bear life in the way that we have it here on Earth. It's my position that it's only logical that those planets that are now closest to the sun at one point were out of harm's way in so much of the sun's solar energy that were in so much being frozen balls of ice, masses of ice, that they went through and eggs, that the life forms that was on them went through an incubation process with the sun, in which we have right now, but they had went through it long ago. And it's my position that in each one of those scenarios, the life actually jumps off one planet to the next, and to the next, and to the next. It's my position, this is the reason why, this is the true reason why NASA is now talking about colonizing Mars in the near future. If Mars is a place that is a barren place where life has already been, and it cannot sustain life, then why are we colonizing Mars? The reason why we're colonizing Mars is because it's my position that we're not colonizing Mars, we are contaminating Mars. Just like Venus was contaminated, just like Mercury was contaminated, and just like our world right now is contaminated. There's a process that is going on, that there's an intelligence behind everything that is happening, whereas only a handful of people enjoy this knowledge of knowing what is going on with us. They have turned it into something divine with you. They have turned it into something scientific with you, and they have turned it into something that is sci-fi with you, to where all of these things capture your imagination to keep you steered away from seeing the truth. Think about it, people. Look at the categories that our planets are in. Right now, there is life on Earth. Earth is a water world. It's my position that further back, longer ago, our planet was more of a frozen planet, actually frozen solid. It's my position that through an incubation process in the orbit with the sun, Earth is being thawed out and subsequently will become just like that of Venus and Mercury. It's my position that Mars is a frozen mass, and what is covered over it is nothing more than in so much of space dust collected upon materials from space that is covering the actual frozen picture that I am actually trying to project to you here. It's my position that once our planet becomes more and more um, um, engaged with the sun, it will end up like Venus and Mercury, and Mars at this point is being thawed out, and new life is actually going to flourish in that as it comes in that engagement with the sun through this incubation process that these planets in our solar system are going through. And I'm telling you that right down the line, this is what's going on. But anyway, so what's happening? What life forms? And there's something else this is so huge, people, that you could not imagine. But through my genuine paranormal experience and encounter, I can see it all as it is occurring. I know that all life forms evolved from that of our oceanic waters, which is a scientific fact at this point. But through which creatures, through which process, and through a sequence of genetic bridgings that always have been happening, that altered mankind likenesses from the previous genetic and physical appearances of themselves to the next. And this is the reason why we have different variations and likenesses of our kind. It's my position that these people, the Maui people on Easter Island, just like many of our other ancestors, engaged in altering themselves from the original origins of man, as did everyone else, the Africans, as did the Egyptians, as did the Chinese, right down the line. And they have these statuettes and the glyphs left behind that show that these beings were partially reptilian. And there was reptilian bloodlines there. I got this one upside down. Why would they actually want to demonstrate a skeleton but yet has the face in full flesh? They are showing you, people, their reptilian bloodline. Now, with these reptilian bloodlines, let me tell you a little bit about these reptilian bloodlines, because I've been speaking about them. And this is where I don't need scientific proof to back me on everything that I'm stating, because you know why? Everything that I have is self-verifiable. That's what I love about my discoveries and being able to see what I see. You know what I mean? I love this stuff, people. You know? What science has failed to realize, and those that have discovered this and who we are and how they failed, and when they went around on these earlier explorations, destroying evidence of who we truly and genetically were, thinking that no one would never be able to realize or decipher what actually happened. But through my true paranormal experience and encounter, I can bring you logically to the Maui people and show you exactly who they were, what they were doing, and through what genetic process, manipulation process that they went in altering themselves. bear with me for a minute here. Let me gather my train of thought so I can tell you this. I'm telling you that these people were experimenting and dealing with reptilian bloodlines. Therefore, what evidence is there is that you see their eyes, they would have to have had, if I'm correct, and I know that I am correct, a reptilian insight, a reptilian sense of awareness, a different eyesight than that of what mankind has today, meaning that their eyesight would be multidimensional, like that, similar to that of like what a fly would have. When you see things in different patterns and all of that. You see what I'm saying, people, where I'm driving at with this, or the way a reptile would see things. So you take that, and the creations that they would make would also have these patterns, which later became inscriptions, which would be in Renaissance artist artwork. Now, for example, this image here, created by a Maui person, this image can be looked at in multi-dimensional ways because the person that would have made this would have had a multi-dimensional sense of vision and a multi-dimensional sense of awareness. Now, I'm not gonna draw no more images right now, not at this point, okay? But I just want to show you something. It's my position that wherever there is evidence of these reptilian existences, now you can't prove it from a wooden statue, of course, but look at this guy's face. Look at this hair, these eyebrows. We all know that they're consistent with that of reptilian lizards. Look at that. Look at this here, and then the way his head is set up like a lizard. These statues tell a similar tale on how that ancestor of ours genetically bridged over their ancestor, which is that of the ancient dinosaur and lizard. And it shows the different faces and likenesses as to how they evolved from that creature, because nothing meant more to them than who they genetically were. So these statues, there's a bigger picture to what these statues are. Easter Island is a glyph in itself. Our ancestors, before there was anything else, there was this artistic ability to shape and design the creatures from whom they evolved from. And which was those creatures? I told you. Those creatures were the dinosaur. Lizards, serpents, and therefore, wherever there is evidence of the creation of mankind, it's on larger scales. This is nothing. This is just man. This would have been a slap in the face to the creatures that they evolved from. So they would have had to have the creature that was present that calls for this likeness of that Maui being. And this Maui being. Those reptilian likenesses. Let me show you something here, people. Here's an image of Easter Island, and it was on the History HD channel. And the Moai Heads would be down here, all across there in the hills and all of that. Look closely at the mountainside the mountain range behind the Moai Heads. The Moai Heads are a symbolization that mankind, these likenesses, emerge from the larger likeness which is behind the larger side. In this mountainside, there is a glyph of faces. If you look closely, you can see them. But I'm going to show you the face that stands out the most. This is not it. I'm just having fun right now. You see, look at this face right here. Mouth, nose, eye. You see that? There are multi-dimensional faces in this. And do you know what this is right here, people? This mountainside. Right here. You see this? This is the torso of a reptile, a reptilian. You see that? The Moai Heads are here. It's showing you that they are the seeds, the eggs from this creature right here. This is the torso area, and it shows you the multi-dimensional faces that are in there. You want to see what the face is? Well, I've been telling you all along. There's the head there. I'm going to back off of it. This is the torso, and it comes around, and there's the head. Let me show you what this actually is. When you back off of it, you see the lying body of a dinosaur coming from around the tail, coming up the back, all the way around, the spiny spines of his back. I forgot what you call them things. And look around. There's his head. And look, long and behold, there's even an eye right there. Consistent with the eyes that the Maui people paint. Here, let me put that side by side there. And don't nobody even know that that is there until now, people. You know why? Because I am paranormally drawn to that, and I know that that creature is there. Look at the eye painted in. Look at this, people. Now, I'm going to show you something else about that. For those of you that don't want to believe that that is a lizard's head, look at how our serpents, that scaly, like, remember, it's reminiscent of a snake, of a serpent. You know, the eyelashing, the eyebrow of that serpent. Look at that line, people, there in the mountainside, right over the eye. Now that I'm showing it to you, you can see the head, the tail, the head coming around and laying there in the sand, created in the mountain that is behind the Moai Heads. The Moai Heads are the eggs, the seeds of this creature. And this is the message of Easter Island. And the torso is all of the other heads. If you can, now that you can see that there is symmetry to these rocks. There is the reptilian's head. There is another head of a creature. You can see the face there. Here, there's even a face of the mother of creation, and there's apes' heads and everything right there in multi-dimensional form, right there, which subsequently calls for the likenesses of these creatures, which were the Moai Heads. Look at that, people. This would be the mouth line. This would be the snout. This would be the right eye. This is the left eye. Look at how reptilian faces. Now, we all know what a reptilian look like. That like, oh gosh, it's like a fin over the eye. Right there. And then you actually have the eye that is right there. How could I get that, people? I could actually draw you an image of the dinosaur. Do I have that anywhere? To give you an idea of what that is, look at this, people. Look at that. And this was me running out of ink there. But as you see it, there's the head of the dinosaur. Look at it, turned around and coming around back on itself right there. Now take another look. And through each one, look at the faces in the rocks. Look. And going down. Look at this, people. Look. Multi-dimensional faces in the rock. I can pretty much draw on this whole body on this creature. Coming in on an angle of Easter Island, those that know what this is, or those that are truly linked to our ancestors in the way that I am, you would know, you would see the head of this creature, and you would see the other faces of our ancestors in the rocks. And then you would know why these statuettes down here, well, not statuettes, these megalithic statues are there. They're stating that the Moai people evolved through a chemistry, a process that began with this creature, and then it shows you the other creatures that which an emergence came, including the ape. And it shows you how they came on the tail end of this, at this point here, of how they arrived at this point of the evolution of mankind. It's in the mountains. This is the same thing that is in Angkor Wat. This is the same thing that is in what was that? I just did a video. Oh gosh, I forget on this other. I forget the name of it anyway, so I'm not going to go there. But people, this is the gift behind seeing what is actually our origins and where we evolved. Because nothing meant more to the Moai people, just like everybody else before, than who they were. Now, you're probably saying, okay, I can see the head of this reptile there. Because, I mean, you can't deny it. There's the brow and all of that. And I done showed you. See my other videos here. Because this stuff is all through the Vatican, everywhere. This is all through in the chemistry of the artworks. Look at my other videos, and then this will make sense to you on how there's a body of a dinosaur that's actually carved out into the rocks. It's a giant glyph. And I can do this not just here. There's multiple locations on our planet, some of which have never been discovered, that through this same chemistry of my ability to see this stuff, that I have actually made these discoveries. Another amazing discovery that I made is at the Grand Canyon. You got to see my video, people. Glyphs on the side of the rocks, on top of the ranges, and you can see ancient temples that I've drawn out for you. I can do the same thing here. These ancient locations, there's more to them you could ever possibly imagine. There are multi-dimensional doorways here. I can open up other dimensions. I have the key to opening up this dimension to the location that it is in alignment with space, and I can tell you what has occurred, what happened with the Moai people, what was going on, and what were they dimensionally linked to. Now, in case you don't want to believe that that's a dinosaur head, and that's an image of a guy right there you can see, or that's an ape right there, and all of the other images that I can see, because I can see the mother of creation in there. In case you don't believe that I can see all of these things, well, if that's the case, then let's go to a video I made yesterday, to some of the materials in the video that I made yesterday. And this is a 16th century piece of artwork by German artist Lucas Kranich, Der Thier. Okay, and this is his depiction of Eden. I want to know, why is the images that I'm pointing out here to you on Easter Island are almost exact to what this German artist done put in his painting in the landscape. Here, there is a head of that of a dinosaur. There is the eye. Look, all of the defining features, even a single tooth. And lo and behold, if you look closely at this guy, you start seeing a similar pattern of this stuff. Look, And then on the opposite side, where the white is, there's the head of a serpent. And when you Google the image, I guarantee you those highlighted teeth that you see I put there, I guarantee you that you will see those teeth in the actual artwork. There are teeth there in this serpent's mouth. A shadow of an eye. And this is the head of a serpent. From the dinosaur, shows you the snake, the genetics from which it was created that subsequently called for the likeness of man. Now, this German artist, as they did on Easter Island, has here the image of man. This would be God, and this would be Adam, and that would be Eve. But what you don't see is the inscriptions in the rock that I candidly highlighted for you, where they have this guy depicted as God, and Adam and Eve in this image up here is angels, showing you a penis bridged over the reptilian head of a dinosaur, which is also encrypted in the image. So now we have a divine image by a German artist that depicts mankind origins being that of dinosaur and that of a reptile, which is shown here in the snake's image, which is an extension of the dinosaur from which mankind was genetically created. And the same thing is right here at Easter Island in the mountainside in an enormous size. What is being stated here by a 16th century artist? These inscriptions that I have highlighted, you can see my video, I have a video. This man is up here, encrypted in the rocks, and I highlighted, there's his head, there's his body, there's his arm, there's his robe, there's a belt around his robe. He's there with a penis over the head of that of a reptile, showing you that there's a reptilian genetic manipulation going on between these two right here, which are called Adam and Eve. And I'm telling you that this is not the creation of all mankind. This is just the reference of how these likenesses, our Caucasian counterparts, were genetically bridged over the original origins of man, which is ape and Africans, to subsequently create specifically these lighter versions of our African and ape ancestors. That's what the story of Adam and Eve is all about, and it's back here in the rocks, back here. Now, this German artist is not alone in this, because each and every Renaissance artist that have created a successful painting, an accepted painting of Adam and Eve, are telling us the exact same thing. Each and every famous Renaissance artist painting with regards to Adam and Eve, I can do the same thing with. Easter Island is no painting. I can draw for you, I can capture for you through my multi-dimensional, through my ancestor, the dinosaur, these reptiles, this snake. Through my ancestors, I have the ability to see their faces no matter where they are. The creations that evolved from space, back into space, that are all around us. Barely visible transparent images. I can see and detect their presence. I'm drawn to it like a magnet. I am genetically linked to these beings, and therefore I can show you where they are. It does not matter whether they're in the Grand Canyon, whether they're in Needles and Black Hills. See my videos, people. I have good videos here. Whether they're here on Easter Island, whether they're in Angkor Wat, no matter where they have been, our ancestors, where the evidence that people do not even know about. Scientists don't even know about it, because if they early explorers would have known about this, back here, they just thought that they found this and that was it. There was nothing else. So they'll take and make it a historical site or a significant site to where there's no archaeological digs could be actually done on it. So it's protected now. But the idiots, the assholes that tried to hide this from us did not know that our ancestors did this stuff on enormous scales, because nothing mattered more to them than who they genetically were. I can do this throughout the Grand Canyon. Look at my videos, people. I can draw along the mountainsides of Grand Canyon as I do here. You know why? Because our ancestors were there. There are images of angels. I mean, I call it the gateway to God's kingdom, because the Grand Canyon is hallmark of all of which it seems to me that Christianity, the images of the angels, the images of God, all of that stuff is there in the Grand Canyon. If you haven't seen my Grand Canyon video, get there and see that. I can draw you things here that'll blow you away. Through my multi-dimensional sense of awareness, I can see these images. Is this the larger one or the smaller one? I'm telling you that this mountainside, where these Moai Heads are, is a representation of our ancient ancestors. And it's the head of a dinosaur that is there. And it shows you how mankind genetically emerged. It's all through the mountainside. Had Christopher Columbus, had the conquistadors, had the Vatican, or the kings and queens, had Constantine, had these people would have known this mountainside would have been blown away. They would have sat there like they did globally, and sat there and cannonballed this place until it was distorted into the way that you would never have been able to recognize any of this. They seen no harm in letting the head stay here, because it was of no sin, and God knows what else was there that they missed and didn't see. But what happens is, with our ancestors, through their multidimensional ability to imagine a sculpture, imagine a reptilian sculptor, imagine a fly, people, that could sculpt. Imagine what a sculpture from a fly would look like. And that's what this is. You know the sight of a fly, and it's all these little honeycomb triangles. The fly's vision is, and they see all many different things. This is the way that these multi-dimensional images are created. These sculptings of our ancestors. This is what this stuff is about. Multi-dimensional images that bleed together, that run together. And amazingly, I can not only just do this here in our world, I can do this beyond our world, in space. I can do this. I mean, there's a trail of this stuff, people, that tells us who we are. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Geronification channel, and it's my position that this mountain is a representation of our ancestor, our earliest of earliest ancestors, which was that of the dinosaur. And this stuff can be found if you Google. This is the reason why you see these dinosaurs in Angkor Wat, the Triceratops, and Angkor Wat, and other implication of dinosaurs in Peru on the Peruvial burial stones. The same exact thing. These beings, all in our ancient history, these beings from which we emerged, there's a record of it, from its largest scale to its most miniature scale. There's evidence of it. We evolved from this creature. And I am not alone in seeing images in the rocks, because apparently 16th century artist Lucas Cranach de Alter, German artist, has had a similar experience, because in his depiction of the Garden of Eden, you can Google this image, and each line that I put here, you can even put a couple more lines if you want. There's a nostril of a dinosaur. There's the eye highlighted. There's the head. There's the mouth. There's a single tooth here. There's the chin area. Look, all of these. Look at the coloring. All you have to do, people, is look at the darkened area of the color, and look, it creates the perfect head of that of our reptilian ancestor. And then go to this side, and long and behold, this snake head, which I didn't deviate a line from anything that is there. I didn't exaggerate nothing. All I did was highlight what was already there, people. And you have the same exact thing. So if I'm seeing things on Easter Island, in these rocks, what in the hell is the German artist Lucas Cranach the Alter in the 16th century seeing the identical things for? He's telling us in his painting that mankind emerged from these creatures and now are being reintroduced, genetically bridged back over to alter their likenesses, and is showing you the chemistry back here through which these beings underwent in order to alter their genetic being and state. And it shows you that these creatures also genetically contributed, because there's an encryption here that is readable as well. These guys, this Renaissance artwork, which was oversaw by the Vatican and vastly that of popes and religious sects, that actually also commissioned the explorations of our world to such locations like this. Now all of a sudden they commissioned these trips and these journeys. Now all of a sudden tells these artists that we have to verify your artwork before it is being released, and what is going on with your artwork. And what is globally, I can point out to you globally, as I just did here, made the comparison, is encrypted here. So you don't have the heads of the Moai there. You have the heads and likenesses of Christianic beings now. So, people, I'm telling you that this is stolen artwork from our ancestors globally. I'm telling you that every exploration of our world earlier was a larceny of the identity of people, their culture, their riches, their jewels, everything, their identities. And then they had nerve and the audacity to steal images that they know nothing about. Nothing. And here I come along with my paranormal experience and encounter, and I take these images and shove them right back up their butt from the places from which they took them from. Easter Island is not just the location. There's other locations as well. This is not just the only location. There's other locations that I can do this with. Look at this, people. All you have to do is Google this German artist's image, Lucas Cranach der Alter, and I'm going to hold this up for you long enough so you can see what I highlighted. The head of a reptile right there. I highlighted the eye right there. I highlighted the mouth. There's a single tooth to indicate that, yeah, look, this is the guy. Look at my lines. Then over here, there's the head of a serpent, a snake. And I'm telling you that when you look right here, where every line that I made and the indication of it being a tooth, you will see those same images in the painting once you actually Google it. And you will see that also is the face of that of a snake. And it's showing you genetics that were bridged over. And this image is mirrored up here, but they're showing you penises, which is a genetic implication of genetics being exchanged and being altered. And the reptile's head, and the penis is laid over the reptile's head, showing you that this is the reptilian gene that was utilized to sabotage, to contaminate, to bridge over our African or ape ancestor, and genetically move away further from those creatures and those beings to genetic likenesses of these beings. It's my position that not only were mankind affected, but also creatures of our world, and this is the reason why all of our versions that are genetically differing from that of our ape and African ancestor, which was of some of our blackest of genes, the black genes, why now we have red hair, brunette hair, green eyes, blue eyes, gray eyes, straight hair, because our genetic contributors, which were utilized, which were also altered in the process, contributed genetically in genetic bridgings. And I'm telling you that in the wake of this nonsense is death, because through death comes resurrection. So in the wake of all of this, if you want to look at Africa, look at Hades, look at all these countries genetically that evolved after Africa. Look at the wake of what's happening genetically to the people that's in the wake of this. Because what had happened is that through these genetic bridgings, I found out that through every 400 to 500 plus years, that they go back and can redo or undo what they had previously done. It's the killing and the conquering of genes that were once dominant. They were weakening genes of our ancestor, and this is something that has been going on. I actually see a face right here too. Coming around the head, there's an eye right there. There's the nose coming around. See it in the shadows right there? Right there. These paintings indicate that there's a grail of who we genetically were and what was done to genetically alter us. And the code is, I guess, artwork is okay to make these references, as long as you don't go overboard. And these artworks, before they're released, they must be checked out. They must be approved. And then they become accepted. Just like science, as science has it. You know how the group of scientists have it, to where you can't release scientific opinions and all without the cooperation of your colleagues. And then your colleagues, their colleagues, are actually in association with the religious sects that they're affiliated with. You see that there's you know what I mean? You see there's a chain of command. This is the reason why I am not viral yet. Imagine some of the best minds in our world that has some of them witness my videos. The good thing about all of this is that I have patience. And all I'm going to keep doing is I'm going to take everything that we believe in apart. I'm going to bring it here in videos, and I don't have to disprove anything, because it's already disproven in what is being shown here. All I have to do is take and outline that head there, and outline that head there, show you the eye, show you the faces, the bodies of these beings in here, and show you that I can show you multi-dimensional faces that actually are not just there. These are not random. Oh, by the way, people, let me add this. These are not random faces that I am seeing here. These are not random faces. These faces are actually that in sequential order that showed you how the likenesses and the causes subsequently came here. So there's a sequential order that evolved around this being right here. And this is what was most important to our ancestors, their genetic identity. And not just in that, there is something celestial about this too. So there is something like alien-like about this. But there's dimensional doorways, portals here. I can open them up. Why in the hell would I be saying all of that if I could not do it? There's a dimensional doorway here, and I can open it up. What is being said here is also here. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Geronification channel. This is, I believe, close to my 200th video. It's my position that these Moai Heads on Easter Island are just a small, minute symbolization to what is being stated in the larger image in the background. And if you think about it, what could possibly make much more sense than that? Think about it, people. If they had the ability and knowledge to make that here, then this was nothing. This was already here. The message is loud and clear. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Geronification channel. And with that, I'm going to be going. Thank you. And so much being frozen balls of ice, masses of ice, that they went through, and eggs, that the life forms that was on them went through an incubation process with the sun, in which we have right now, but they had went through it long ago. And it's my position that in each one of those scenarios, the life actually jumps off one planet to the next, and to the next, and to the next. It's my position, this is the reason why, this is the true reason why NASA is now talking about colonizing Mars in the near future. If Mars is a place that is a barren place where life has already been, and it cannot sustain life, then why are we colonizing Mars? The reason why we're colonizing Mars is because it's my position that we're not colonizing Mars, we are contaminating Mars. Just like Venus was contaminated, just like Mercury was contaminated, and just like our world right now is contaminated. There's a process that is going on, that there's an intelligence behind everything that is happening, whereas only a handful of people enjoy this knowledge of knowing what is going on with us. They have turned it into something divine with you. They have turned it into something scientific with you, and they have turned it into something that is sci-fi with you, to where all of these things capture your imagination to keep you steered away from seeing the truth. Think about it, people. Look at the category evolved from that of our oceanic waters, which is, a scientific fact at this point, but through which creatures, through which process, and through a sequence of genetic bridgings that always have been happening, that altered mankind likenesses from the previous genetic and physical appearances of themselves to the next. And this is the reason why we have different variations and likenesses of our kind. It's my position that these people, the Maui people on Easter Island, just like many of our other ancestors, engaged in altering themselves from the original origins of man, as did everyone else, the Africans, as did the Egyptians, as did the Chinese, right down the line. And they have these statuettes and glyphs left behind that show that these beings were partially reptilian. And there was reptilian bloodlines there. I got this one upside down. Why would they actually want to demonstrate a skeleton but yet has the face in full flesh? They are showing you people their reptilian bloodline. Now, with these reptilian bloodlines, let me tell you a little bit about these reptilian bloodlines, because I've been speaking about them. And this is where I can actually, I don't need scientific proof to back me on everything that I'm stating. Being a fat Maui, okay? And this is supposed to be of a skeletal, wooden skeletal statue figurine of that of a Maui. Alright? It's my position that I've discovered that mankind evolved through our oceanic waters through a precise process, that an intelligence that actually evolved from space. It's my position that this intelligence jumped planets from Mercury, Venus, to Earth, and now, as you are witnessing, it's my position that Mars is next in that sequence. And this is the reason why you see our space explorations heading in that direction. And it's my position that there was never no life on Mars in so much in the way that we wanted to believe, as far as aliens and all of that. It's my position that Mars is next in line in our solar system to actually bear life in the way that we have it here on Earth. It's my position that it's only logical that those planets that are now closest to the sun at one point were out of harm's way in so much of the sun's solar energy, that we're in categories that our planets are in. Right now, there is life on Earth. Earth is a water world. It's my position that further back, longer ago, our planet was more of a frozen planet, actually frozen solid. It's my position that through an incubation process in the orbit with the sun, Earth is being thawed out and subsequently will become just like that of Venus and Mercury. It's my position that Mars is a frozen mass, and what is covered over it is nothing more than in so much of space dust collected upon materials from space that is covering the actual frozen picture that I am actually trying to project to you here. It's my position that once our planet becomes more and more engaged with the sun, it will end up like Venus and Mercury, and Mars at this point is being thawed out, and new life is actually going to flourish in that, as it comes in that engagement with the sun through this incubation process that these planets in our solar system are going through. And I'm telling you that right down the line, this is what's going on. But anyway, so what's happening? What life forms? And there's something else that this is so huge, people, that you could not imagine. But through my genuine paranormal experience and encounter, I can see it all as it is occurring. I know that all life forms. Hi everybody. You're back with Gerone Wright again on his Geronification channel here on YouTube. What we have here, I'm going to be doing a interesting video here on Easter Island and the Moai Heads and megalithic statues that seem to have grown in popularity through that of ancient alien theorists and through other theorists that so much wonder why these heads are there, how they got there, and what do they actually represent. There's an image there of the heads there. Here's another image there, just to bring you into speed about these heads here, and there. Well, we're gonna have to let me set this down. And there's another image here of those heads. There. And some tourists standing there admiring the heads there. Well, one of the heads there. And then they have some interesting statues. Wooden statues. This is actually on line as being a fat Moai